Hey everybody, this is Peter Palmiotti of Humanoid Studios, and welcome, one and all. Sorry for the bit of delay. Lisa, we do everything together, and yeah, so she needed something. Blah blah blah. I did notice I got some ink on the piece, but I don't normally do that. But streaming and inking and trying to acknowledge chat and everything, it's a lot. I will let you know. Yeah, we're starting early. For designated, we're going to be on Sean Forney's channel. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Sorry, Sean. Just for a little bit, just for a sort of pitch our book. And that will be 8:15. So, well, did I trap one of my cats? Hold on a second. Jesus, it's one of those days. You're rocket. All right. Hopefully my cat will leave me alone. One never knows. So how are y'all doing? Who's watching right now? Say hello in the chat. I promise to be better. Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't expecting a crowd last night. Yesterday. What was it? I know like Joe has a pretty big following and lots of mutual friends, and had a good crowd. When I started on this piece, then, if you didn't already know, and I will continue in a minute. So I'm just thinking, like, I wonder if I have a circle that big. I have a circle plate, but I don't think it goes that big. I'm gonna have to fake it. Find something, or I'll use a French curve and just fudge it. Or worst case scenario, if I don't have anything exactly that size, I'll just do it digitally. We'll be fine. So this is a piece, and if you look closely enough, I should turn on my webcam program. It always takes 3 minutes or whatever, but we'll get it up. He did this piece back in 2016. It was a sort of perk bonus. You can commission Gaz Gretsky, the penciler artist of this, to do a drawing of anything. Hey, OFC Mike, welcome. Thanks for coming by, checking it out. So I asked him if it would be okay to draw my character retro, and he said fine. And I asked him if it would be cool to use in my book, and he said cool. And I mentioned to him that it would be the back cover image. There's no backgrounds really. It's just a figure. So what I'm going to do is it will be part of the back cover, and whatchamacallit, I'll have a couple of quotes. So Mike asks, am I doing any art requests? Well, I'm available. I'm mostly known as an inker, but I am a decent artist, I think. And I am going to be penciling my book, but I'm going to be working up to that. Do a lot of short stories and training and fan art. Be right back. No problem. So when you're back, Mike, I'll explain further. But yeah, I'm open to commissions. Or if you're asking for a request, that's I think you mean something different. But we'll see when you get back. Yeah, so I'm going to be working further on this. I'm sort of on the clock. I want to be ready for Sean's show. Me and Mark will be on there. And if you didn't already know, I'm working on inks of a book called Designated. Mark Torres created and wrote it. I was the inker on that. Jade Smith was the penciler. He's not really a comic artist, but he did a kick-ass job. And we're going to start crowdfunding it tomorrow at 11 on my channel. And maybe I'll multi-stream on Facebook and my other YouTube channel, which is CROWDFUNDING Comix, which is also my Facebook group. If you make your own comics and want to share it out to others, join the group. I'll let you in. And yeah, there's rules, but it's a fun group. I hope to focus on it more when I have more time. But things have been crazy. So yeah, I got the upgrade here. I use StreamYard. So I got the fancy little making comics and art on the corner instead of StreamYard logo. But it also allows me the ability to do things like the video at the beginning, and other things, multi-stream, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, please, if you're watching, and I see some people watching, give this video a like. More likes helps it get seen across the YouTubes. Man, I should have cleaned this better, but we'll just dive in. Yeah, so a lot of things are happening. Designated being the biggest, and that'll be my main focus for next month, promoting that as much as I can. Still got things to do before we get started on that. But I'll also be drawing more. And I already got 50 suggestions, of which I'm going to dive through and choose among those what I'll be doing. It's a bunch of fan art, a bunch of characters. A lot of it's some characters, some obscure characters. Yeah, and I'll pick and choose from that list. Am I taking requests in that regard? Well, once I at least look over those 50 requests, then we'll see. I'm not sure how quick I'll be churning these out. But I am available, for commissions and inks. I would love to get on a book, something steady. So if you have a book and can afford my rates, and our styles mesh, I wouldn't say I'd absolutely ink your book. I would have to take a look at it first. I'm flexible stylistically, but I have preferences. And I'm not against, blood or nudity or whatever. I'm not really a horror fan, but more of a horror fan than I used to be. Ah, there we go. Oh my God. It's Gaz himself. Welcome, welcome. It's like the book is so close to coming out. Yeah, man. Getting there. And James, get. Welcome. Good to see you here, man. And Gaz with, yo, nice pencils. Ink's not bad either. I appreciate that. And Mike is back. That looks sick. Yeah, it's an excellent piece. Gaz did a fantastic job. And hopefully I don't ruin it. As long as my cats leave me alone. So I should ask, what did you mean by art requests? Mike, because tonight I'm just inking this, and I do inks and drawings for people. I have an art rep for that. And yes, Gaz, I noticed, like people are actually watching me on Twitch. This is fantastic. What is the first time I've been on Twitch in close to a year? It took the power of Palmiotti to get me back here. And he says, this is, yes. That's fantastic. That's pretty crazy. I just decided at the last minute, is like, oh yeah, I can multi-stream. And we'll probably be doing that for the launch tomorrow, which I'm like, you really don't know how big your audience is until you crowdfund. This is Mark's baby. I'm just along for the ride. It's like the success of Designated will allow me to finance a lot of the merchandising and everything with retro, which is the plan. If it does decent, I'll make a couple of bucks. But if it does really well, then I'll be able to potentially pay off for all the merch and production I got to do, as well as pay the letterer and somebody to help me with the sort of the book production, editing, whatnot. So I am, really fingers crossed. Hope it does really, really well. We got 20 streams, almost 20 streams lined up to promote it, and we'll be adding more. Gaz, you should have us on your channel. Speaking of, anyone wants to have us on, definitely. Can I talk about being on Knob Bro for Valiant Comics? Okay. So yes, back in the day, and I think it was 10 months or something around there. I could probably track it. I was working for Valiant back in the day. You know, Jimmy assisted in getting me in the door. He heard they were looking for people, but we actually walked in the door and he walked away. He went home or went to see friends in the city or something. And I walked up to Bob Layton and Don Perlin, who were both working there. This is after Shooter's Run, and Bob Layton was in charge. And introduced myself, and I don't even know if I brought anything. But he kind of hired me on the spot. He said, "Look, over there at the end of the office are art tables. Go grab an empty one, and here's a page. Do some inks." And that's how I was hired. It was literally just like I walked in, said hello, and Gaz says, "Haha." So he literally just got you in the door. Yep. But it was, and actually the very first piece I did was incorrect. So Bob gave me no direction as to how to ink it. And okay, so it was an issue, a page from Eternal Warriors. No, it wasn't. That's right. Eternal Warriors is what I inked most up there, but this was a page. I forget. It might have been Harbingers. And I forget the penciler's name. It was a guy I only knew who worked up there. I don't think he went on to pencil anywhere else. Wow, what a way to start. Yeah, man. It was just dive in. Archer and Armstrong, maybe. It was definitely, it wasn't, I would say it wasn't Eternal Warriors. It could have been one of the other titles. Andrew was his first name. I forget his last name, and I forget if he went by Andrew. I believe so. But he was a good artist. But just going by the feel of the pencils, I kind of did a Robert Crumb kind of inking style, and I don't remember what led me in that direction. But I was on one side of me, I think was Phyllis Nolan, and she was a background inker, and Sean Chen was on the other side of me. So, and actually Andrew was right in front of me. And so I inked most of the page, and unfortunately he looked around, and I wouldn't say he went ballistic, but he was like, "What the hell are you doing?" And he went off on me. To a certain degree, I didn't care. I just wanted to do a good job, and they literally gave me no direction. So it kind of wasn't my fault. They just said ink the backgrounds. And immediately Phyllis and Sean jumped in and said, "That's Andrew. He's, that way, and don't worry about it, and just, do a cleaner job on it, and don't worry about it. It's pretty easy here, blah, blah, blah." So I didn't worry too much about it. I was like, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't have specific direction as to how to ink this, but now that I know, I'll do a better job and blah blah blah. So I don't remember working on him anymore over his pencils. Yeah, it's like I must have. It's like maybe his style was sketchy, and I just kind of did what I thought was right. I mean, as far as I remember, I was just having fun. Maybe I took it a little further than what was on the page, but again, I had zero directions. It was like, well, fuck, I don't know. I was super green, just happy to be there. The Valiant offices back then, like, what was it, like close to 23rd Street? I forget exactly. It was across the street from the Fashion Institute, which is a college for fashion artists that Billy Tucci went to. So it was one floor of an office building, and it was amazing because everybody worked in the office. And you mentioned Knob Row. Knob Row was essentially everybody who wasn't like main talent. So you had background anchors, you had some colorists, some letterers, production, what have you, and I was listed in the credits of every issue of Valiant while I was working in the office. It was pretty much like the first thing I did was find a art table to work at and work on that one page. But they hooked me up with like sort of HR stuff later that day or something, and I was in. It was a 9 to 5 job, 5 days a week, and I got a weekly paycheck. It was freaking amazing, and the most of the artists that worked for the company were working in the office. All of the writers worked in the office. All of the editors, all of the colorists, all of the inkers, and then they had me, Phyllis, this guy Winston, and maybe one or two other people that came and went doing background inks. And like I said, I worked for I worked on Eternal Warrior, and that was Stan Drake. Stan Drake was an old talent that worked on newspaper strips, and he was freaking phenomenal. He would ink figures, and I would ink the backgrounds, and his figures were amazing. And Gaz wasn't Sean Chen a main talent? Absolutely. Sean is incredible, and he's still working on comics. He's on Instagram. Check out his newer work. He's freaking amazing. He was amazing back then. In many ways, he structures his work similar to you guys. Like, he plans every little detail out, and it's like a course grid and everything. It was so fun to work there. It got distracting sometimes because it got noisy sometimes, usually from the colorist. But it was definitely fun and inspiring to work around. Have all these other artists working around me, and we talk throughout the day and also be focused. In many ways, doing the sort of group streams I do nowadays, where I'm working and others are working, is pretty much the same kind of feel to working back there, like the old Marvel bullpen. To my knowledge, in the days that I actually went to the Marvel bullpen, um, that was only production. You'd have some colors, but that was mostly touch up. You had letters there, and most of that was touch up. You'll have artists there, but again, touch up and colors and blah blah blah. Marvel bullpen was officially wrapping up books. It wasn't the most of the pencilers, most of the inkers, most of the writers. Everybody worked at home. Everybody's freelance, working for Marvel, working for DC. So Valiant was very, very different and it was phenomenal to be a part of it, even for a short time. And, like the reason I left is because they wouldn't give me any inking work, and I thought it was a personal vendetta from Bob Layton with me. But actually, Jimmy told me recently, not too long ago, that he's that way with a lot of people. Like, he hired me for a specific thing and wanted to keep me as that. So that's why I was only there like 10 months. I would have loved to work there longer, but Valiant did go through big changes and became, owned by a different company and changed direction, and they were never as good. I was there during the Deathmate books, before that for a batch of months, however it went, but definitely during the Deathmate time. I actually inked. Sean Chen actually penciled a raw, I think it was a trade cover, and it was only the character holding a sword and a gun, and I actually inked the sword and the gun. Yeah, it became owned by Acclaim, which actually, when it was owned by Acclaim, they were doing video games, and Cal Fury got hired to do a Armorines miniseries, and I got roped into that and inked that miniseries, which was really great in a way to finally be able to ink a Valiant property. But unfortunately, I think Torek was the most popular video game, and after that, it just went downhill. And I'm pretty sure not many people got the Armorines miniseries that we did. But still, it was a good piece of work. I think it was 4 issues, and definitely a lot of fun and quality book. It was, while Valiant was all watercoloring, sort of had an old school feel to it. When Acclaim took over, they got into the computer coloring. So it was a really good looking book. Yeah, it's just, the audience wasn't there at that time. It disappeared. But, a lot of books in my career went that way. Whatever. I'm always happy to do the work. I had at least one issue. There you go. There's another person who read an issue. But yeah, Valiant was a lot of fun. Anybody who's followed my career, loosely, I'm mostly known for Aquaman when he had a hook. So I worked at DC for a time, worked at Marvel for a time. You know, my Marvel stuff was a lot more sporadic. Um, you know, there's very few Marvel books I could say, well, I worked on that book where I actually got credit. Like, there's 2 issues of Iron Man that I inked a batch of pages for one and a batch of pages for the other, but, you know, it's part of a storyline that disappeared. And it's young Tony Stark going on a killing spree to kill his older self. I worked on a lot of X-Men stuff. Only issue 360 of Uncanny X-Men is where I got some credit. But I worked on Cable. I worked on Wolverine a bunch of times. I worked on Deadpool. Who's Gambit. Yeah, just they were throwing me pages left and right. I knew a couple of the editors up in the X-Men office, and that's when they were doing like 10 books a month or something. And it was fast-paced, and they needed everything the next day. It was crazy. All right, guys. Well, thanks for coming on, man. I definitely appreciate it. And I'll make sure to show you the finishings when I get it done, if it's tonight or sometime later. I will mention I started inking a piece, episode 249 by Chris Graves, a fantastic young artist. I will be getting back to that. I wasn't happy with the quality of, you know, I took his pencils and did a printout. It needed to be cleaned up more, so I asked my friend Allison to clean it up, and she did. And I will be getting back to that at some point on my channel here, so you can watch me work on that. And that's if you haven't seen, that's a pit piece. You know, pit of Image fame, Dale Keown. Yeah, and Chris did a fantastic drawing, and I look forward to inking that. It just wasn't clicking with the crappy job that I did on printing it out. You know, you're supposed to clean up the pencils a bit, and yeah, it wasn't as cleaned up as it could have been. My bad. But I guess I did outline. I didn't dig in too deep. But I will be getting back to that. And speaking of Pitt, speaking of Dale Keown, and I'll actually show you something I did recently. If you haven't seen, I did this piece. So I printed out in red some Dale Keown pencils, and this was Fanix. This is the character. The character is Joe Sonntag, who was on my show yesterday. And he got Dale to pencil a cover for him, which is going to be just straight colors over the pencils. And it's a phenomenal piece. And I don't normally do fan inks, but it's Dale Keown. I wanted to ink him most of my career. Like I just missed an opportunity early in my career when he was working on a small independent comic for a small indie publisher, self-publisher. Anyway, all these years later, I was like, yeah, I want to ink this piece, and I really want to bring something a little different to it. I saw Jimmy Reyes ink it, thought he did a really good job, but I had a different idea in mind and just took a shot at it. You know, all this sort of crazy cross-hatching stuff, you know, could have just simply been filled in pure black. But I took a shot and did all feathering and crazy cross-hatching, and Joe loved it. Joe loved it so much he's going to use it for some kind of merch in his campaign, something worthy of it, I guess. And he told me the other day during our stream that Dale loved it too, so I'm blown away. Yeah, that's fantastic. So, yeah, I'll keep mentioning that piece because it really, you know, it really took me to a different place. I think, you know, I'm trying to build my skill as an artist, but also, you know, whenever opportunity arises to stretch my feet with inking as well, then you know, that's a plus. So yeah, so well, things have been crazy. I don't want to do what I did yesterday and make sure this stuff is dry. It's funny, I scanned this, you know, with the inks I did thus far, and scanned it and chopped off his foot. But yeah, things have been crazy, and you know, I was sort of taking a look at, you know, since I'm freelance and I had to turn down a gig recently, I'm deciding to pencil a lot more in August, and you know, pencil and ink my own work, and see if I can drum up some business that way. You know, like make some art sales, and maybe if I do some cool pieces, do some prints, and see how that goes for me. You know, I know there's a lot of successful artists, and Gaz is one of them. If you don't know Gaz Gretsky, his work, he's, you know, I should put his link in the video description, especially since I'm inking his work. He's a fantastic artist, and he's got a comic. You know, he works on it when he can. You know, he's married and he's got a kid, and you know, he makes a lot of his money doing prints. You know, he would definitely be someone for me to talk to. Someone who's, you know, putting himself out there. He does a lot of conventions, and you know, he is focused on Power Rangers, and he's focused on Godzilla, but he does some other stuff too, and he started doing cards. You know, and he's a fantastic artist, and he's, you know, been doing it for years. Good guy. So I'm so happy to have his work that's going to be in my comic. You know, it's good to have talented friends, you know, and I'm so happy he showed up. You know, I kind of doing a lot of things on the fly because I got a lot of projects going, and I'm pulled in many directions. So it seems like I can't plan too much. And I didn't want to. I know he's busy and his schedule is crazy, so I was glad he showed up in the chat at least. But definitely, you know, I'll definitely have him on. He's been on my channel before. You know, I did an interview with him and John Boy Myers, who's another old friend and that's a fantastic artist. John Boy freaking does amazing covers for a lot of different people and companies, as well as comics, you know. But yeah, so I've had guys on here before, and I got to get on his channel. You know, he usually does this like it's like a day in the life, but it's throughout the week, and he does a video collecting snippets from each day, and I freaking love the style. And if I ever get back into video editing, I'm gonna snatch that idea because he's so fun in those videos and hilarious, and it's just like a day by day progress of what he's up to and what he's getting done, and you know what his life is like. It's very special. There you go. EJB with the links. Thank you. He's definitely somebody to go check out. Gazbot.com. And why shouldn't I rave about him since I'm making a piece of his? So yeah, I did tease on the cover that this is what prelude to tomorrow with designated. You know, fingers crossed it does well. We tried to do, you know, like a sign up for it, and that really wasn't successful. But I don't think that's a real sign of if the book's going to do well or not. I just think we didn't know how to do it. It's something I never did. Sign ups. Sign up for the, thing you might pledge to. So tomorrow will be the really test. And so it's definitely official. I'll be streaming from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. We go live at 12. Later that day at, I believe it's 6 p.m., we'll be streaming with Global Frequency. And they're good friends of mine. And it'd be great to get on their channel and get seen by their audience. And we were supposed to be on Marshall Lee, but he is busy. So unfortunately, we might get on his channel at a later date. But I am currently looking for something around the 9 p.m. time to go on. And I asked CB Smallwood, about possibly getting on his channel Saturday night, but he goes much later. He starts much later. So it'll probably be like, if we do it, it'll probably be like midnight or something. So I posted in my group. Nobody's responded yet, but that's okay. We'll figure it out. It's like we don't have to do a third show in launch day, but I want the odds to work in my favor. So the more exposure we can get, I think the better off we'll be. Take no chances. Take no chances. Oh, so yeah, I'm kind of, it's like you don't know until you know, and that's happening tomorrow. Hoping for the best, and it's like I really wanted to succeed, but also succeed big. Like I said, it will really help me pay off things I need to get for retro, the merchandise, the printing, the shipping. Could possibly pay for everything if the thing goes well. And we'll, what I guess I haven't mentioned is we'll be selling actual artwork from the book, and me and Jade are going to be, sharing in the money we make from that. But all the pages will be up to purchase if you're an art collector, or you just like, seeing my work or whatever, I'm not an art collector. I have some things. It's, but if that's your thing, hey, buy a page from the book. And it not only supports us, it supports me. It'll be a very, very good thing for sure. Mark has a. I should also mention Mark has a what's it called? A giveaway. So I think it's for the first 10 people that pledge. He'll explain it in more detail and maybe correctly if I'm incorrect, but I think it's, or maybe the first 100. I don't know. For the first batch of people who pledged to the campaign during our stream, and we'll be going 2 hours. Well, you only have an hour to pledge, though, I think, as we'll do it. But if you pledge, you are put in the hat for the giveaway, and the giveaway is I think it's a Hermione figure or a card or something that has a $200 value. So it's a bonus you won't find anywhere else. And Mark's a collector of weird shit. So this is something of his collection that he's willing to part with in order to help boost up the initial people who pledge. Maybe we'll get a random Hermione fan who pledges to our book just for the card or whatever it is. You never know. You never know. So the reason Gaz was like on about the whole Nobro and Valiant is, we have a group on Discord. We hang out and chat, and it's like drop comments, come back a few days later and reply to a comment or whatever. And that came up because is a YouTuber, Jerk Comix, and he did a thing about Nobro, and he actually, he's sort of like an investigative reporter with comics and companies and creators and whatnot, and started talking about Deathmate, which I was talking about before, and Nobro, and he was led to believe that people who worked at Nobro weren't paid. And as I mentioned, I got a weekly paycheck working there. It's pretty much whatever amount of work I can get done each day and throughout the week and whatever. I was paid the same. So, I just always kept busy, pretty much from 9 to 5, which, it was a good training. I mean, back then, I was pretty much working hardcore anyway on my own because I wanted to improve my skill. But anyway, so yeah, Jerk Comics. I don't know the guy's actual name. But he has some really great videos. And so like, don't take all the facts as 100% accurate, but if he's done some great interviews, and his other videos you can take with a grain of salt and sort of investigate yourself. But it's definitely worth checking out. I would say he's definitely worth checking out alone for Kelly Jones' interview, which was 2 parts, maybe 5 hours altogether. Great, inspiring interview with him. I never saw an interview before that with Kelly. Always admired his work and definitely like he's done a ton of work. So go check him out. But the funny thing is, he replied to me and he was like, "I would love to, help you promote your book, meaning Retro, when the time comes that, I'll be first getting copies into the hands of the people who pledged to my initial crowdfunder on Kickstarter. I did a short one only for 5 days to get a gist of where I stood and to really jump into crowdfunding, because I've been part of campaigns before, but never that was officially me doing it solo and on an official campaign, page and whatnot. And I should have had this book done already, but life interrupts everything. No excuse. I'm going to get it done. It'll be fall, and then in the winter, I'll be doing Indiegogo for Retro, in which that will be a full schedule, so 30 days, if not more, maybe. Who knows? Maybe I'll have it in demand afterwards for a while. We shall see. But so there's an opportunity for those that didn't grab it up initially to get a copy. And one of the next books I'll be working on is a 0 issue for Retro, which I decided I'm going to be teaming up with other people for short stories in that. Because initially I was just going to do a mini comic with a 8-page story or something, and I'm expanding on that. And actually a fun idea of taking little snippets of future Retro storylines and giving us little glimpses of what's going on in his future before I get there in the series. So as interpreted by people, other artists, and I'll team up with some other writers. So I got one team already I got 2 more teams to get, and I know a ton of people. But I'll be inking, co-writing and inking all the stories. So it would definitely be artists I want to ink over, and artists and writers I want to work with. You know, I never even considered having a co-writer with my, with my baby, my character, Retro, but it seems like a fun idea. That I don't know if anybody else has done it, but I'm a big fan of Stephen King, and it sort of came into my head, like the way he sort of gives us glimpses further into storylines of dread or suspense coming up. So yeah, that's gonna be fun. But I got a book called Alien Arena. That will be, I don't know if I'm going to give it a schedule, but that will be something a little different. It's your typical arena story involving aliens and monsters and whatnot, with a little bit of a twist. And I plan to work with other people on that, sort of my Marvel Comics Presents book for Has Comics Dude. Has Comics Dude is my publishing name. And that's a little weird, but that's what I'm going with. Cut to Spacesuit Retro in the Alien Arena. Well, Retro is not going to show up in Alien Arena. Two separate books. While I will have a lot that's, Retro is eventually going to be part of a team, and I'll be introducing other, I consider Retro a metahuman, so other metahumans will meet, and eventually they'll form a team, and I'll have other books that I'll be publishing with other artists, but I plan to write all the books and ink all the books for as long as possible. It's like a freaking 10-year plan that may take 20 years. We'll see. I'm not no youngling, but I really have to get this baby off the ground already, so I can start diving into, get Retro issue 1 out, then issue 0. Next year I'll be focused on issue 2, so maybe crowdfund that the end of 2023. We shall see. But then after issue 2, I should speed up a little bit. If I can come out with 3 or 4 issues a year at some point down the line, that would be terrific. It'd be a ton of work, but it would be terrific. So yeah, I did a little more work on it. I'm not going to finish it tonight. Looks like, and I want to make sure in a half hour I'll be on somebody else's show. So let me take a little break before then, and I'll finish it off. Yeah, maybe I'll finish off camera or on camera. Comment below the video if you're watching this later. Let me know if you want to see me finish it off on camera. I probably will. But yeah, give it a like. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't. I've had a lot of new subscribers. Thank you so much. The channel is growing, and I plan to, even though me and Mark have like 20 streams, we're going to be a part of the end of this month and into most of August. I'm going to try to stream every day if I can. Now that I got the upgrade for StreamYard, I got unlimited streaming ability. So watch out. You'll see a lot more of me, although I can't say consistently at a certain time. It would be in between everything else. But thank you so much, EJB, Gazbot, Steve, was it? Oh, is one of my cats saying hello. Where is his name? OFC Mike, who came earlier. James Gipe. Don't believe the hype. Believe James Gipe. And all. Yeah, thank you so much for all coming and watching, even those who didn't comment. I appreciate each and every one of you. And tune in tomorrow, 11 a.m., going live with Designated. And let us count it down together. It's fingers crossed it's going to be huge. Love you all. Talk to you again soon. Keep making comics and art.